Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. Let's just get straight into it. The first thing I noticed was the smell. It wasn't perfume or alcohol. It was something worse, like old cologne trying too hard to mask sweat. It hit me the second the door creaked open at 3:12 a.m. and she stumbled in, heels in hand, humming some off-key pop song. She didn't expect me to be awake. She definitely didn't expect me to be sitting in the dark, at the dining table, with the lamp on low and a glass of orange juice, her favorite, waiting, untouched. She froze when she saw me. Her smile didn't fade. It evaporated. "Didn't think you'd still be up," she said casually, tossing her keys into the bowl like it was any other night, like she hadn't spent the evening at her ex-boyfriend's house. Not a friend. Not a group from college. Her ex. The same one she used to lie about messaging when I'd walk in the room. The one who once called her at 1 a.m. accidentally while she was brushing her teeth in our bathroom. I didn't speak, just looked at her, which made her shift. That nervous heel-rocking sway she does when she knows I'm holding something she's not ready to hear. "I told you where I was," she said again. "It's not a crime to go to a party." "Was it a party?" I asked. "Or a performance?" She narrowed her eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I reached down and slid the folder across the table. A plain, blue, slightly crumpled folder. The kind you'd overlook in a stack of bills. But this one was loaded. She opened it. Inside were screenshots, photos, a GPS timeline, a printed-out version of her Instagram story, and one photo she didn't post. The one someone else did. The one where her hand was on Trenton's chest, and he was holding a bottle like a trophy. She went pale. "Did you follow me?" she asked, stunned. "No," I said. "I let you go." Silence. And then the laugh. Not from her. From me. Not because it was funny, but because it was finally real. She didn't speak again. She just stood there, clutching the folder, as I stood up, walked past her, and patted the same shoulder I used to kiss goodnight. "I left you something in the bedroom," I said quietly. She turned to look, but I was already walking toward the door. And behind me, echoing from down the hall, I heard her gasp. Because what I left her on the bed wasn't a note. It was something she never thought I'd give up. I didn't slam the door. I closed it slowly, soft enough to hear the way the lock clicked shut behind me. And in that silence, I knew she'd already gone into the bedroom. She'd seen it. What I left her wasn't a letter, wasn't a ring. It wasn't even a suitcase full of my stuff because I didn't give her the satisfaction of a dramatic exit. What I left her was a plain brown envelope. Inside was a copy of the lease. My name? Removed. A receipt showing my half of the rent already transferred to a storage unit. And tucked between the pages. One final punch to the gut. A Polaroid of her and me on our anniversary last year, with her handwriting on the back. Together, no matter what. I wanted her to remember what she said while she was standing in her dress last night, sipping her ex's drink like I didn't exist. I wanted her to feel what I felt, standing in the same apartment that now felt like a stranger's Airbnb. I didn't go far, just down the road to an all-night diner where I could think without choking on her perfume. I sat in a booth next to a flickering jukebox and ordered a stack of pancakes I didn't eat. Every time the door opened, I flinched like it might be her. That's the stupid thing. I was scared she might come after me, and more scared that she wouldn't. By 5 a.m., my phone buzzed. One message. "You're seriously overreacting." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just those 4 words like I was a toddler having a tantrum. I stared at the screen for what felt like an hour. My thumbs hovered over the keyboard, but nothing came out. What do you say to someone who thinks your pain is an overreaction? Then another message followed. We didn't even do anything. I just danced a little. That's when it hit me. She didn't care that I left. She cared that I did it first. That I stole the moment. She wanted to come home at dawn, toss her shoes in the corner, and roll her eyes when I asked where she'd been. She wanted to play the game where she's in control. But I took that from her. And I wasn't done yet. I didn't reply to her message. I let it sit there like a bruise. The truth was, it didn't matter if she did nothing. It wasn't about the dancing. It was about knowing what it would do to me and doing it anyway. It was the smirk on her face in that party photo. The way she didn't tag me, didn't even pretend I existed that night. That was the betrayal, being erased while still in the room. I stayed in the diner until the sun came up, then drove to the only place I could think straight. The storage unit I'd rented weeks earlier. Yeah, weeks. I wish I could say this whole thing came as a shock, but I'd been feeling the splinters for a long time. Her cold glances. The way she kept her phone tilted away from me. That laugh she saved for everyone but me. Inside the unit, my boxes sat like ghosts. Labeled and taped. Like I was a man preparing for a disaster he hadn't quite accepted yet. I opened one marked, office/junk, and pulled out my old laptop. Not my current one, the one she used sometimes to shop or watch shows. No, this one was clean. Private. I hadn't touched it since before we got married. I set it up on the tiny desk in the corner of the unit and started working. I opened her social media accounts. Not to snoop, honestly, I didn't need to. Everything she wanted me to see, she showed me. Carefully curated stories, perfectly timed posts. Just enough skin to flirt, but not enough to be blamed. But then I saw something I hadn't noticed before. On her Spotify, shared to our old joint account, there was a new playlist. It was called Mood Lighting. And the first song was the same one that played in the background of that blurry story from the party. I clicked through the list. All slow, sensual tracks. One of them was our wedding song. I sat there blinking like maybe I'd imagined it. But no, there it was. Sandwiched between a Drake track and something by The Weeknd. The song we first danced to while everyone clapped and her grandmother cried into a napkin. Now it was just mood music for her night at his house. That's when something inside me didn't just crack. It split. I was done waiting for her to feel guilty. Done hoping for an apology. It was time for her to come home to my silence. And to find out what it feels like to be left out of the story. By the time I drove back to the apartment, the streets were buzzing with weekend runners and dog walkers who had no idea a man was about to quietly disappear from his own life. I didn't bring my keys. I didn't need them. I knew the code to the garage was still the same, her birthday. Ironic, isn't it? She'd changed everything else. Passwords, tone of voice, the way she said my name like it was something that left a bitter taste. But that code? Still the same 4 digits I used to write in frosting on her birthday cupcakes. When I stepped inside, it felt wrong. Not in the dramatic, this isn't home anymore kind of way. No, it was quieter than that. Colder. Like a hotel room right after someone checks out. Her shoes were by the door, one tilted on its side. Her purse on the floor. Jacket half hanging off the couch like she peeled herself out of it and just melted. She hadn't cleaned up after coming home, which meant she was shaken. Good. I didn't call out her name. I wasn't here to fight. I walked through the apartment slowly, touching nothing. Just breathing in the stillness I used to fill with effort, apologies, and I'll do better next times. I reached the bedroom. She was asleep, curled up on her side of the bed, hugging a pillow the way she used to hug me. The brown envelope I left was lying open, pages pulled out and scattered. She'd read it, probably twice. There was a moment, God, I hate admitting this, where I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I noticed it. The wedding photo was gone. She had taken it out of the folder. But it wasn't on the nightstand or the dresser. It was in the trash. Bent. Torn. Something in my chest burned. It was stupid, I know. After everything, why should that be the thing that broke me? But it did. I reached down, picked it up gently, flattened the crease against my thigh, and tucked it into my back pocket. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't even glance at her again. I turned, walked out, and closed the door behind me one last time. And as I reached the bottom of the stairs, my phone buzzed again. New message. Lowell, where are you? Are you really doing this? No, I'm sorry. No, let's talk. Just another performance. I didn't respond, but I did type one thing before deleting it. You won't find me where you left me. I slid the phone into my jacket and walked out the front door without looking back. But what she didn't know was that I had one more act planned. By Monday morning, I was no longer missing. I was invisible, and that felt better. I didn't block her, didn't post anything, didn't burn her stuff in a parking lot bonfire like some scorned man from a country song. I wanted her to wonder, not know. That's the difference. Knowing gives people closure. Wondering keeps them up at night. I stayed in a cheap motel outside of town, the kind where the vending machines only take quarters and the wallpaper peels if you stare at it too long. It was perfect, quiet, isolated, and, more importantly, it gave me time to execute the last piece of my plan. I logged into our shared calendar app. She never used it anymore, but I did. It's how we used to coordinate groceries, appointments, little date nights I'd try to plan before she started canceling them with the phrase, "Something came up." I added a new event. Title: Ask Trenton about the ring. Time: 7 p.m. Location: our apartment. I knew she'd see it. Her notifications were still active. I made sure of that months ago, back when I noticed her slowly detaching from us. She used to forget things, so I'd set reminders for her, sync everything. She never changed the settings. She never expected me to use them like this. Then I made a second move. I scheduled a delivery flowers. Not just any bouquet. The exact one she once told me she'd want on her wedding anniversary if we ever made it to 10 years. Pale blue hydrangeas, white tulips, and one single yellow daffodil in the center. She said it reminded her of hope. On the card, I wrote only 3 words. You lost it. I didn't sign my name. I didn't need to. At exactly 6:58 p.m. I used the motel's cracked mirror to adjust my collar, then sat by the window with the curtain barely open, watching the seconds tick by on my burner phone. By 7:12, my phone lit up. Unknown number. One-word text. Why? I stared at the screen, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel pathetic or weak. I felt clear. She had gone to a party to make me feel small, to humiliate me. But now, standing in our apartment, holding a flower that meant something and a calendar event she couldn't explain, she was finally asking the right question. But the real answer? She hadn't found everything yet. There was still one thing left, and it was hidden exactly where she'd least expect it. She called me that night, twice. I let both ring out. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because I needed the silence more than I needed her voice trying to wrap itself in excuses. I didn't want her to say it wasn't what it looked like, or that she didn't cross any lines. I already knew the truth, and it was louder than anything she could say. She didn't know it yet, but she was standing in the middle of a carefully built trap made entirely of moments she thought didn't matter. The flowers, the event name, the envelope, the silence, all pieces of a slow echo I wanted her to sit in. But the last one, the thing I hid, wasn't digital. It wasn't something I could delete or unsend. It was physical, tangible, and unforgettable. I knew she'd find it eventually. Behind the mirror in our bedroom closet was a tiny wall safe she never used. She once told me it creeped her out like something criminals hide cash in. But I kept it anyway. I stored only one thing inside. A flash drive. A black one, small, unmarked. And on it a video not of her but of me. Recorded just 3 nights before she went to that party. In it I looked tired. Eyes hollow. Hair messy. I was sitting on the couch, our couch, holding my wedding ring between my fingers. And I spoke. Not to her. Not really. But to the man I was afraid I was becoming. I don't think she loves me anymore, I said. And I don't think I know how to stop loving her. I paused. I keep wondering what's wrong with me. Why she flinches when I touch her. Why she laughs harder at other people's jokes. I know she's still talking to him. I pretend I don't notice because I'm terrified if I say something, she'll just leave faster. Another pause. A longer one. But maybe she's already gone. And maybe I've been holding on to someone who's been letting go for months. Maybe tonight I let go too. That was it. 1 minute and 42 seconds. I left no explanation, no accusation. Just the quiet grief of a man who finally stopped begging to be enough. I knew when she'd find it because I placed a sticky note inside the drawer. If you're still curious, check the safe. She texted me at 2:16 a.m. I watched it. Then a second message minutes later. I didn't know you felt all that. But that was the problem. She did know. She just didn't care. Until I stopped waiting for her to. The morning after she saw the video, I expected silence. Instead, she sent a flood of texts. Some long, some frantic. All of them soaked in confusion. I didn't realize it was that bad. Why didn't you just talk to me? I was lonely too, Lowell. Funny how people only find their words when yours run out. I didn't reply. I let her spiral. At 11:03 a.m. she called. This time I answered, but I didn't say anything. I just held the phone to my ear and let her talk into the quiet like it might fill the distance. I messed up, she finally said. Her voice cracked, like she was sitting on the edge of something she couldn't undo. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. I thought I just needed a distraction, but it got away from me. I waited a beat, then said the only thing I could. I was never a distraction. Silence. Then a sob. Small and sharp, like she didn't want to give me the satisfaction of hearing it, but it escaped anyway. I hung up before she could build it into a speech. I had no interest in hearing her rewrite history now that the ending didn't suit her. That night, she came to the motel. I don't know how she found me. Maybe she remembered the name from a brochure in my glove box or spotted my car parked down the block. But at 8:47 p.m., I looked through the peephole and saw her, hair tied back, makeup faded, holding a bag of takeout in her hands like peace offerings could fix fractures. I didn't open the door. She knocked once, then again softer. "Lowell, please," she whispered. "Can we just talk?" I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the mattress like it might anchor me in place. My heart screamed to open it. My pride told me to stay still. My pain? It just wanted to know why it wasn't enough before. Eventually, her voice faded. I heard the shuffle of the bag hitting the floor, her steps retreating. A car door, then nothing. I waited 10 minutes before opening the door. The food was still there. My favorite. But taped to the top of the container was a note. "You don't have to forgive me. Just don't disappear." And for a split second, I didn't know what I wanted more, to run back to her or disappear harder. But either way, I knew the story wasn't finished. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the motel bed with the takeout cooling beside me, reading her note over and over until the edges curled. "You don't have to forgive me. Just don't disappear." It wasn't a promise. It wasn't an apology. It was a crack in the wall she'd built between us, and maybe that was all I ever wanted. Not revenge. Not pity. Just acknowledgement that I existed. That I mattered. The next morning I drove. Not toward her. Not away from her. Just somewhere in between. I ended up at this overlook we used to go to when we first moved in together. Back before jobs and rent and emotional silence swallowed everything. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that lets your brain unclench. That's when my phone buzzed. A message. Just a photo. It was the wedding picture. The one I thought she'd trashed. She'd flattened it, taped the crease, and propped it on the nightstand next to a glass of water and my ring. My ring. No words. No caption. Just that. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there with the phone in my lap, the wind brushing past me like some invisible reminder that things move on, even when you don't. And I realized something. I didn't have to erase her to reclaim myself. I didn't have to burn everything down to start over. Sometimes healing looks like distance. Sometimes forgiveness isn't about giving someone a second chance. It's about giving yourself a first one. A week later, we met in a neutral place. A diner. No accusations. No blaming. We just talked. She listened. I spoke. She apologized. Not with a speech, but with her eyes. And for once, I didn't try to fix it. I just let her feel the weight of what she'd almost lost. We're not back together. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I'm not lost anymore. And neither is she. What moment in this story hit you the hardest? Would you have forgiven her? Or walked away for good? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Reddit Confessions for more powerful true life stories like this. See you in the next one.